Welcome to the 100th episode of the Salt Circle Podcast. My name is Hank. With me for 100 episodes is Ben.
Hey, we did it. Pretty wild.
We did a large number of it.
Implying we didn't
Doing
do
it
all
for
of
a
our
while.
episodes. Yeah, man.
We did a significant portion of them.
We do most of our episodes. Magic does the rest.
Star Wars does a not insignificant number.
Yeah.
You know. So it goes.
It's been
So-
a wild ride.
Yeah. It has. A lot has happened since we started doing this podcast.
Yeah, no shit.
But what did we just do, Ben? Don't you?
We just watched Star Wars with a lot of people in a Discord stream with a physical VHS player attached to a computer playing a VHS tape.
Yup.
It was a good time.
The technology joke of it really tickles me.
Yeah, oh, that's pretty good.
Just you all watching it through my OBS preview window.
Hell yeah, dude. No, it was
Just all.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a fun time. And we got to, watch pre-special edition Star Wars.
Yeah.
About cutting down on the fat a bit. The bloat.
And
The feature creep.
yeah, so the closest I've ever gotten to that as we talked about a bit before is the Harmy despecialized editions. And for the most part, like I think those are the It depends on what you're going for, right? Like if you have access to the completely original like VHS tapes or whatever, 10 out of 10. But if you want like an HD experience, like a full screen experience that's not blurred to hell or whatever or something, despecialized is pretty good. But there's some stuff that just by nature of how he's assembled those videos, he turned into they
Probably.
maybe.
I have no idea.
But some of the stuff like, we didn't like this scene had no special things in it that were done, so we just used the Blu-ray release, right? But some stuff that they used is still adjusted, and like one of those things like the lightsaber color, like the blue to green effect is so fucking good. Like I mentioned it a lot while we were watching, but like in my head I was thinking about it a lot more. It's so I just like it so much. Like I miss that style of lightsaber. Like the new, obviously, like what they ended up as is cool as shit as well, but there's just there's something magical about it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like a much cheaper effect, but it somehow feels more magical.
Yeah.
It feels something about it like, I don't know. It both feels more like real light and also like less material. Like it's less there than new lightsabers.
Yeah, new lightsabers feel like there's a blade. Like it feels like a thing. Yeah, it'd been a while like since I'd seen that movie in general as well. It was nice watching it with people and riffing on it a bit, because like,
yeah, man,
I fucking love Star Wars. I'll sit down and have like an in-depth discussion on like behind, lore shit, extended universe stuff, like whatever else. But also, it's extremely fun to just make fun of everything because it's also like terrible at the same time. It's so good.
I mean, it's an old movie.
Yeah.
And it's cheesy as hell.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I love watching it that way because, like, that's the way I watch Star Wars. That's the way I watch Star Wars. I fell in love with it. Like, well, so the version we watched is the THX mastered versions, which were the last VHS home release before the special edition stuff happened.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, so I remember when these VHS tapes, like, came out, like, when they showed up in my video store, and I was like, oh, man, new release of Star Wars. That's an excuse to watch Star Wars again. But also, like, that's the first time I, like, remember watching Star Wars and thinking about Star Wars. Like, I don't know the first time I watched Star Wars. Star Wars is, like, a thing I watched from so young that I don't have a memory of it.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, with this particular release, like, I remember that happening. Like, oh, they're, like, Star Wars is, like, it's a thing again, or whatever. Like they've, it's stupid. Like, they just put it out again, but it, like, it felt like a thing.
Yeah.
Even though it was just this VHS release. Just another VHS release. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first time I can remember, like, just, like, spending time to actually think about Star Wars instead of just accepting it as an awesome reality or whatever.
Yeah.
So this particular Reese has a special place in my heart, and this box art.
The box
art,
art is real good.
Yeah, it's very particular to this release. Like, it's not as sort of stylized as the earlier stuff, the drawings that are amazing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, or even like the later, it's so basic. Just the faces, Darth Vader, the Stormtrooper, and Yoda.
We're calling it minimalist now.
Yeah.
You
Big head mode.
You mentioned something that I wanted to touch on. Did you say that you bought this, like, from the streets of New York? Or are you just saying, like, a video store?
No, I bought this on the
like,
street
on the
in New
street.
York. Like, so, yeah, so people sell shit on the street in New York.
Okay.
And I was walking by, this guy was selling shit, and there was a copy of VHS Star Wars. I was like, yeah, I'll buy this. I want that.
And this is, like, originally, this is how you acquired it, like, ages ago.
Well, I haven't had these VHSs of Star Wars that long. This is not, like...
Okay.
This is well after VHS is a dead format that I picked these up.
All right. So, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, originally the way I watched these was renting them.
Sure.
At the video store, because I would go to the video store every week.
That makes, like,
so
more
VHS tapes weren't really a thing I'd ever owned or bought, really. Except for a couple cartoon stuff. It's a thing I would rent a shit ton.
Yeah. See, I was putting it, like, VHS, they came out, and, like, maybe the dude on the street had a better deal than the video store, so fuck it, why not?
Nah.
No, that's pretty good, though.
I mean, that's a thing, too, but...
Yeah.
That's the first time I watched one of my favorite movies, Wes Anderson's Royal Tenenbaums, was a friend of my dad had bought a bootleg copy of it that clearly had been filmed in a movie theater. So I got to watch that movie with occasionally a person would walk by.
Hell yeah.
It honestly added to the experience in that case. I loved it. There's something about it that was just extra special.
Yeah.
The bootleg movie.
God, that, you know what? I would be totally interested in watching, like, a bootleg if someone had been able to, like, I don't know how the fuck you'd go about it back in the day. Like, if there was a bootleg theater version of Star Wars with, like, people, like, just to hear the react, like, if it was at, like, opening night or something, just to hear the reactions, especially for, like, the, like, Vader being Luke's father, that sort of shit. Like, it would be so cool to hear the audience at that stuff. I'd watch it, man.
You'd watch a Star Wars thing?
I would watch a
Ben.
Star Wars thing. An illegal Star Wars thing.
I would watch a Star Wars, a story about Ben. I mean, the real question is, what are the Star Wars things you haven't watched?
Most of the holiday special, the Ewok films. I guess the Blu-ray release of. I don't think I've seen the Blu-ray edition of Episode 3 and past that. Like like the
And they're like,
in
I'm sure there are like revisions of the original trilogy you haven't seen. Because like every
Oh, yeah.
release is
Yeah,
technically
yeah.
slightly different.
So many revisions of that shit.
Yeah.
I have almost certainly seen the first version of Episode 1 where Yoda is a puppet, but that was because it was the first Star Wars I watched when I was 5, because that was the new one that had come out.
Yeah.
And maybe on VHS I owned it for ages, but I think for quite a while that's probably been changed. So odds are I haven't seen that version in like 10 years or whatever. 20 years maybe.
The Yoda puppet doesn't. That's like the worst looking Yoda puppet.
I
don't
can't
know
remember
what
it
happened
though,
to that
dude.
one. I mean, you can look at pictures.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
exist. I don't know why. I love Yoda puppets so much more.
Have you here's one. I don't think it's that much of a deep cut, but have you seen the like DVD extra thing of Yoda like breakdancing? I think it was in like episode 2 or 3 or something.
Maybe. I don't remember.
Okay. There was like a little, I don't know if you had to do like a little like Konami code thing on the menu or if there was actually like a thing to hit that just took you right there. But it's like these little, it's like 3 clone troopers like bumping along and then Yoda starts like breakdancing. Like it was a thing they had him do.
So I know some other Star Wars things I don't think you've watched
Okay.
that you haven't mentioned. Did you ever watch the original Clone Wars show? The Gendy Tartakovsky one?
Not in its entirety.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't think you've seen the Star Wars episode of Muppet Babies that uses footage from Star Wars in it.
No, I have not. Yeah.
They reenact Star Wars and it uses Star Wars footage.
I mean, that's pretty good. That sounds
Yeah, man.
like. Is it just the original or do they like go through the trilogy?
I remember a lot of Return of the Jedi
Oh, okay. Huh.
being in there.
I mean,
So it's probably the whole
sounds
show.
like a Salt Circle episode.
Yeah. But I don't know. Muppet Babies is one of those things that I loved that I don't know that I want to revisit and
Oh, you don't want
destroy
to.
my memories
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
This show about these characters when they're babies, yeah, maybe that might not hold up. I don't know. For me now, as an adult,
Yeah.
it might not be as cool. I'm not sure.
Look at this
But yeah,
guy.
we
He
could do that
can't. He
sometime.
can't section off his life and just not let it
I
affect
can.
his
It's
current-
fine. I'm a piece of meat, just chucking up, cutting off chunks left and right.
I mean, the only thing that I'm still like scared of is the holiday special. Like, there's
It's It's unwatchable.
yeah,
I haven't sat through and watched it because I
and
don't
I
want to.
know like, I know that's true, and yet I find myself longing to watch through it, just
I don't know.
find out for myself.
I haven't read enough Legends books to feel like I need the completionist feel to watch that garbage.
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Like, I've seen Terry Fisher's terrifying cocaine grin in that movie, so
Yeah.
her smile is too large. It is too large.
Yeah, it's no bueno.
It's just, it's not good. It's not a good time.
No.
It's a bad time.
Did you
But
go to see the so not Clone Wars the show, but if you recall, they started with the movie?
no.
You
I never
did?
liked how that thing looked.
I mean, that's fucking reasonable as all hell. I don't know what I expected going into that movie. Like, I actually can't
Movie.
remember.
It's like a pilot for a TV show.
Yeah, it's a movie pilot, and
Yeah, it's like the first 3 episodes or whatever.
it's something. It was an
And
experience.
I didn't hear good things about it, so nothing changed my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was exactly fine, and nothing more.
Also, so, Ben,
Yeah,
how much time is supposed to take place between episodes 2 and 3 that whole TV show takes place in?
I think it's like years, like 3 years.
Yeah.
Because
See,
I mean,
I think when I watched those movies, I felt like Leia and Luke were like conceived in episode 2,
yeah, no,
and then episode 3, it's time for them to be born. But
no,
there's this whole TV show in between there, and I'm like,
no.
that
It's
doesn't.
it's like a full
that-
3 years, because
Okay.
like and I think that's been a thing since before the show, just because the Clone Wars took 3 years, and like obviously episode 2 is the start, 3 is the finish, so
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay.
That's
fine.
Yeah, I don't know. On one hand, like as I've stated previously, that show has made me like the prequels more, but at the same time, it also makes me hate them more, because I hate George Lucas and how he like had good ideas and managed to fuck them up at every single turn when trying to put them on the screen. It is just frustrating.
Oh, I mean, a lot of that shit feels retconny to me anyway. That the shit because it feels like what extra canonical Star Wars stuff is meant to do is
The prequels?
like just in general, like to explain shit that didn't need explaining,
Oh,
like the
yeah,
force
yeah.
sensitive droid, or
Yeah,
to
yeah.
or to specifically deal with stuff that people complained about.
I guess from what I've seen, obviously I wasn't part of this discussion originally, but there was like a lot of contention about what the Clone Wars actually were. Because, they mention it and people were like, were there like clones of Jedi? Like I'm dueling
Like a
myself.
Luke?
Yeah, like a dark version of myself or something.
Like a Yoda.
Yeah, Yoda. Well, see, that's the thing. You think it'd be Yoda, but it's actually Yoda.
It's Yoda? Oh, it's Yoda. It's Yoda. Darth Yoda.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like, the only thing I understand the comparisons made by others and also myself between like George Lucas and J.K. Rowling, where it's like you could have just not mentioned this, except in George Lucas's case, most of the shit is like in the prequels. Like, if you had this thing about midi-chlorians and whatever, that's great. That's fantastic. You have a little world building thing going on here. You don't need to mention it offhand in the film. Either develop the idea and talk about it, or don't.
No, man. It's all about explaining why Darth Vader isn't as powerful as Jesus. It's because he has less body mass, so he has fewer midi-chlorians.
Yeah, that fucking. You know, when I was little, I didn't like register the whole immaculate conception shit. Like when Shmi
Oh.
was like, there was no father. In my mind, I was like, okay, like so his dad left. Like you raised the body up. Like that's what I went to because that makes sense. Like it's a normal thing. And then I don't know how many years later, like if I watched it again or if I saw something and I'm like, wait a minute, they meant they meant that shit literally. Like, ugh.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's Jesus. Honestly, you'd think he'd be stronger if he's Jesus. Like, I've been thinking about it. It's like, it's kind of sucks for how much George Lucas built him up in terms of mythology stuff.
Yeah.
He's not. He's not that great.
Yeah.
He loses to Obi-Wan.
Okay, well that's different. Obi-Wan was like one of the greatest duelists.
Obi-Wan
of
had the
recent
high
times.
ground.
Yeah, first off, high ground. Second off, Obi-Wan had actually like faced a Jedi before, or not a Jedi, but you know, a dude with a lightsaber. So you know what?
Yeah.
Even that doesn't hold up because the Clone Wars like fucking destroys that. God damn it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's one of the problems with ever getting into that show for me is it tries to make like Anakin likable and, you know, like a main character type dude, and that just doesn't jive with where he is in the movie before or the movie after. It's just
Yeah.
not he's not the same character.
Again, I think it's just more. It feels close. I mean I maybe I shouldn't say it feels closer to what George Lucas wanted him to be because that's giving George Lucas possibly
I
too
mean,
much credit.
Yeah.
But
And I think that
it feels better.
yeah.
It would feel better. Like it makes me sad because you could have made these three movies good, and or I should say better. 'Cause I still think they're good.
They're not good.
They're good.
They're memeable, but they're not good movies.
Yeah.
They're incredibly memeable.
Well, every
Like I
fucking
remember
line.
those movies. like every line is like kind of this amazing piece of garbage. But I don't I really hate episode 1. I really hate the act of watching that, and then I'm dead inside after that. Like episode 1 murders me, and then I'm free to just laugh at the rest.
I mean, a lot of people cut out episode 1 because it does nothing.
But I've also heard people say it's better than episode 2. I think a lot of people believe episode 2 is the worst. And
I
I'm
mean,
like,
it's really picking your poison, right?
it's like the love story is terrible, but it's memorable. It's less racist.
Look, I'm just saying that as a kid. So
Episode 1's real bad right up front with the Trade Federation.
yeah, the negotiations were short. So episode
really hate it.
I've mentioned it probably in a previous when we watched the prequel films, but episode 2 was like when I realized how big Star Wars was, because that's when I told my dad that there was a new Star Wars movie out. Like I just happened to see it when we were in the store, and he's like, "Oh, okay," and he just bought it. Like that never happened. So like, oh shit. Like you say Star Wars and stuff happens. We watched it, and of course, as a child, I fucking loved it. Like it was amazing. I'm like, Padme in that black dress by the fire, like that did stuff for me. And then she was wearing that outfit, and she got scratched, and her belly was showing. Like, just saying.
Dying.
I don't know what you mean when you say the love story was bad. It's a lot better if you put yourself in Anakin's shoes.
The dialogue writing is awful.
Oh, yeah.
And also their romance is terrible. She's like, no, this is gross. Stop looking at me like this. And then he commits a genocide, and she's like, marry me.
It's not a genocide. It's the beginning.
Okay, a mass slaughter.
Yeah.
He commits a mass slaughter.
Actually, that's one of the
Killed
things.
the women and the children, too.
Yeah. And the worst part is that she brushes it off. Like, he tells her outright. He's like, Anakin, you're only human. Fuck off. That is one of
That's
my...
what gets her wet, dude.
Ugh. One of my favorite things with Vader I think it was in one of the comics we read, is when he has to like go back to Tatooine for something, and he like goes out of his way to kill more sand people. Like, it's just him standing in front of another village and it's all on fire and shit. Yeah. Good times. Man knew how to
Dude,
party.
I'm doing it at a Death Star. He could have solved that problem, is all I'm saying.
Just fucking destroy Tatooine.
Yeah, man.
And then on to the rest of all the sandy planets.
Maybe he doesn't want that sand getting anywhere else. He doesn't want it spread throughout the universe. Then Tatooine is inside all of us.
I mean, that's probably... That's probably, maybe he was really opposed to he kept saying, like, the power of this battle station is insignificant. He probably just hated the idea, because once you blow up a planet, that planet becomes sand, right? It's at odds with his moral compass, but for different reasons than you might expect.
But yeah, the important thing is that the original Star Wars trilogy, all the people are sweaty, and that's not
great.
true in the prequels, which is why they're bad.
Yeah.
Just the dirt and the grime
Yeah.
and the feeling that like the realest thing is like that these people are undertaking a grand operation, because they are. It just happens to be making this stupid movie. Not fighting the space war that is imaginary.
Well, that's what happens when the director doesn't believe in AC. George, we're hot. Put your turtleneck back on. Oh, man. And that is like... that's a thing between... It's so jarring, and... I don't know, maybe today it would have been handled differently, but like going from the original films, and you have like shit's just clunky. Like it had, you look at the design of the Millennium Falcon and like the X-Wings and shit, and like I get that C-3PO in the prequels is like supposed to be new and shit. But it's great seeing him in the original, and he's just a dinged up piece of garbage. Like,
Yeah, man.
everything is like just grittier, and then you get to like episode 1, and everybody just is in love with chrome and smoothness. And it's like only
not like sand.
There's only like 20 years between these eras. Like, what the fuck happened?
Well, and then also the way like there's just the way like the lore works, where like when they try to argue that the stuff from the original movies is more advanced than the stuff in the prequels,
Yeah.
despite it looking so much jankier.
Yeah.
Like, stormtrooper armor got much better. It's like, really?
Yeah.
That was like they just are dying all over the place. That armor shields them from nothing.
Yeah, that was, and that's like, I don't know, that feels like a big part of, like, aside from story and shit, like, aesthetically, I think, like, that's the biggest issue. I like my clunky
Yeah,
shit,
like
dude.
I mean the original trilogy just has an aesthetic that makes me love it, whereas I kind of just don't like how the new movies look. The new movies, it's all about the terrible dialogue for any joy I get out of it. It's just like it's the memes. It's all about the memes with those movies.
Yeah.
Whereas the original trilogy has amazing lines, like they came from behind. How fucking weird some of the dialogue reading is and stuff, but it also just has this charm of how it was made and stuff, and then
Yeah.
it was just and partly just of its era
Hmm.
when of how effects were made then,
Oh,
whereas
absolutely.
Luke in the prequels were being made with fucking it was cutting edge, but it was a little before that fucking edge was ready. He's a little undercooked.
Yeah. Meanwhile, watching The Matrix, and I'm like, this holds up real well.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was the thing. That movie came out the same year as Episode 1.
Yeah.
The movie I had no hype for, and I was like, oh, this makes up for everything. This is the movie. Like, I had all this hype for a new great movie. I thought it was going to be Episode 1. Turns out it was The Matrix.
Yep. Happens, dude.
Glad the universe provided.
I think, so it must have been, I forget, where it would have been mentioned.
That's when I learned
Oh?
to not believe hype.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hype's gross.
Yeah.
I guess it either had to be a novel or like one of the visual guides or something that came out, like, around the time when the extra material started coming out. And did you ever like get into any of that early on? At all?
Not really.
So
My love of Star Wars really has mostly just been always focused on those, that I love those three movies
gotcha.
more than anything.
The question I'm building to is that, I was just wondering if you're one of the people who, for a while before Episode 1, we didn't have the pronunciation for Coruscant. So you had people like arguing over how it's pronounced, and there is like a huge faction that said Coruscant or whatever. Like they just, because that's what it fucking looks like. And then the movies come out, and that's basically why the prequel trilogy was made, to give us this pronunciation correction.
That's what audiobooks are for. Come on.
No. This was before audio.
They could have released the Star Wars podcast.
The Star Wars podcast.
Star Wars, a narrative podcast.
Ugh.
Star Wars radio dramas. Where Luke fights the KKK.
It'd be great until you get the dude on as Jar Jar in character for the whole episode.
Ban Jar Jar.
Ugh.
Okay. I have a Jar Jar rant, but we have to talk more about this specific movie first.
Okay.
This is my tease for the end. I'll get my Jar Jar rant
Okay.
and my prequel rants. But I just want to talk about A New Hope for a bit.
Yeah.
And it's good. And like, I love how it just flows so fast. There's so much happening all the time, and it really doesn't, despite the fact that there are like dumb moments a lot throughout it, it really doesn't fuck around as a movie.
Yeah.
Like, the editing's really good.
Yeah, and you can feel it between the special editions, even like you said, like that early shot with the stormtroopers looking for the droids, and it's in the special editions, it's just a super long pan.
No, and I
It just
hated
takes so
it. I
long.
hated in the special editions, and I hated it initially. Like, it was always a thing for me with those special editions. It's like, you're fucking up the flow of this movie by just padding these pointless shots. It's like really bad. It screws up the whole
Yeah.
like momentum of everything.
I gotta
And
say,
that's before you get to Return of the Jedi, where they just take a dump on the screen, and then
Yeah.
you're just watching a turd for 3 minutes or whatever.
I gotta say, the scene with them leaving Tatooine, real nice without Jabba there. Just fucking, we're in a rush. We gotta go.
Yeah, we're in a hurry. Get out of here.
First, I
Makes
gotta
more sense.
I gotta step on this Hutt's tail.
And by step on this Hut's tail, you mean walk behind this human dude that has then been CGI'd into a slug man.
Yeah.
So he's much smaller than he is later.
So bad.
Like, oh man, initial CGI Jabba in the special edition was so rough too.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
they've like worked on him over the releases and made him a little better, but it was so bad. That's like a special feature. Like, we have this footage of Harrison Ford that didn't get used, young Harrison Ford. That's neat, but I don't need it in the fucking movie.
Yeah.
It's not necessary. Pacing, man. Editing. It's like matters.
Why? What? Don't tell anyone that.
Because that's like Star Wars, a classic example of just, starting in the middle of the action. Like, shit's just exploding and battles are going on from moment one. It's such an entertaining movie. And then, like, even in the slower dialogue scenes, at least they're hilarious.
And it like it hits a very perfect spot for explanation, I guess. And maybe it's so hard to like compare new and old shit because you have the old shit for context, right? So I don't know, like in the prequels or whatever, it's like, oh look, it's Yoda, he's on the council. Okay, I see. Or fucking you get Jabba at the pod race or whatever, and stuff like that. But in the originals, it's something I'm getting at. People complained about like a lack of connections in the sequel trilogy so far. Like, if you remember in Force Awakens, Poe gets the plans from like that old dude, and we have no idea who the fuck he is. But I don't know about you. I felt like I was supposed to know who this was, and I couldn't place him, and that frustrated me. It's nice watching A New Hope, and Obi-Wan's like dropping some stuff like, oh yeah, we fought together in the Clone Wars. And I'm like, this is cool. What are Clone Wars? I'm interested, but also, like, we don't need a dialogue about this to carry anything.
Yeah.
Like, just let me think about it and imagine.
Because it's funny, because, like, it's literally just trying to recapture the feeling of walking into a Flash Gordon serial where you haven't seen the other ones before.
Oh.
Like, that's what it's going for. Is that feeling of walking into this sci-fi adventure thing in the middle of it. And you're just like, stuff's happening, but like, there is context, but it doesn't matter. It's still cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that's what he was going for. That's why it's episode 4, because it's like, yeah, you've walked into the middle of this Flash Gordon thing. Because Flash Gordon also had the title crawl stuff.
What are your VHS? Was it episode 4 that early? I guess I've never like looked.
It
Hard
was
into
episode
this.
4 on the first home release.
Okay.
It just wasn't episode 4 in the... I think it was episode 4 as soon as Empire came out and was episode 5. Like, Empire was definitely always episode 5.
Okay.
A New Hope became episode 4 as soon as that happened.
Gotcha.
I think it was like the first home release they put it in, but it wasn't in the theatrical version.
It's so weird. Like I've never dug into this at all because fucking Star Wars, and you'd think at some point for how much I like it, you'd think I would eventually look into it.
Uh-huh.
But no. Too busy reading about force-sensitive droids and Mace Windu.
Dak Faden.
Dak
Faden.
Yeah, it took up all of my high school reading time. Such a long entry. I guess I've always assumed that they were just their title without episode numbers, and then once they like had announced more, then they'd retitled them or something.
It was just Star Wars.
Yeah.
There was no A New Hope, and then it was episode 4 A New Hope as soon as Empire was a thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or whatever.
So
or as soon as Empire was gonna be a thing.
You think he planned that early on? Like, he knew he was going to be doing 1, 2, and 3? Whether or not they announced it, but, like, do you think Lucas was like, yeah, I'm going to fucking do this 1, 2, and 3?
No, I mean, I think he thought about it like a Flash Gordon serial. Like, this story could keep going forever. This story stretches back however long. Mm-hmm. These adventures have been going on before this, too. And then he got the opportunity to make more because it was successful. So he was he made more.
Okay.
And then after that, he got more concrete about what the story was.
Yeah.
I really think he did backfill.
Oh.
Because again, the intention from everything I've seen is like to recapture that feeling of a Flash Gordon serial. Kind of, and the serial other stuff, because also like Indiana Jones comes from the same thing for adventure movie stuff.
Man, how do you
work done?
Can you imagine a world where instead of like throwing back to 1, 2, and 3, he instead does like 7, 8, 9 right away?
That would have been better.
Probably.
I don't. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm gonna get into my prequel rant. So so the prequels are theoretically structured to be the story of Darth Vader, his origin. But the problem with those movies as a story is the only character who has any agency in that story is Palpatine, and we don't get his perspective. Like, nothing anybody else does is, like, of their own accord. It's all, like, what they're being manipulated by Palpatine to do. And this is why the Darth Jar Jar theory works so well. Because, or in terms of, like, how it's said, not where it concludes, but that Jar Jar Binks is a character who has no agency over anything he fucking does. And he gets manipulated by Palpatine into doing exactly what Palpatine wants in certain spots. So he fits directly along the dark side plan, except the point where you start to say, then that means, and that's because Jar Jar Binks was an evil Sith Lord, where you lose me. Because it's like, no, he's like every fucking other character in this story. He's just being manipulated by Palpatine to everything he does.
Yeah.
And like every explanation for why things happen always goes back to Palpatine. Like, Shmi got kidnapped by Sand Raiders because Dooku hired someone to kidnap her. Like, literally nothing anybody does. Like, even if you want to look into how Anakin got conceived, it was probably Palpatine manipulating the Force. Or whatever. Like
manipulating something else, maybe.
And now, yeah. He projected himself across the universe.
Oh, he didn't project. He stepped off of that ship. It was like, Watto, take me to her. Hello, Shmi. And then he did like the classic, like when he went in, he did like the classic Dracula thing where he puts his hands up and like juts out his chin.
And it's like, yeah, and Palpatine is the most fun character in any of those prequels because he's
easily.
like having fun and he's like has agency over what he's doing.
And it's just,
And like,
what's his name?
if
Does
the
such a
movies,
good job.
the movies actually should have just been about him, and then maybe they could have worked. But like, Anakin has no fucking agency over his own going evil. Like, it's terrible.
Also,
It's a
like
story.
even, I mean, yeah, Palpatine, of course, behind everything, but like, there's layers to it, and Anakin's on like the fucking bottom of of that chain. Like, yeah, the Jedi are being manipulated, but then like, also the Jedi fucked over Anakin, and is stupid. Like, it's one thing for Yoda to be, you know, tugged around. It's another for, I don't know, Obi-Wan to just not be a teacher.
And also, like, those movies are kind of set up where it's like, for how they don't put Palpatine in the forefront, like, the reveal is like a thing you'll see as you watch the movies if you're 5 and haven't seen Star Wars before. But as like an experience of watching those movies, it's just like so stupid. It's like the thing in Clone Wars where the whole mystery is about who set up this clone army. But then at the end, it's Yoda bringing the clone army. And you're just like, okay, but the clones are clearly part of the evil plot. Why are you just like, yeah, this clone army sure is convenient.
You can,
And like,
okay,
it's they're just fucking idiots. They're so stupid. And as a viewer, it's just, it sucks. As a viewer with a brain, it's a bad time.
you, so you said Clone Wars, and I thought you meant the show. Like, you looked into it.
Yeah, no.
And I was like, okay, like, I remember this arc, what are we doing? And then you're talking about Yoda doing stuff. I'm like, I don't remember this part. And then I figured it out. Yeah.
Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
It's actually that singular point, and I remember watching episode 2, and it's the whole scene with like, Master Cypher Diaz said blah blah blah. Like, Master Cypher Diaz hasn't been seen for 10 years. It, like, that pissed me off even as a kid. Like, why are we name dropping right now? And then I thought there was going to be more done with this dude, and there wasn't.
Did you know the thing about Cypher Diaz?
Yeah. Wait.
Where it was just supposed to be
okay.
a
No,
a weird pronunciation for Sidious. But it
Yeah,
was
okay.
just that. And then they said it weird, and then it just spun off into becoming its own character. Like, the Cypher Diaz is a total accident.
Jesus Christ.
It was just Sidious as conceived.
I mean, that's also bad. Like, that's also a like, the Clone Army was ordered by Master Sidious.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah. That's still like dumb, but at least it's not confusing dumb. Ugh. That's such a problem point too. You know what? That makes more sense that it wasn't intended. Because I was gonna say, there's a little arc about like Master Cypher Diaz as well, and they like find his ship where it crashed or something. It's still fucking terrible. Like, everything else, they managed to at least retcon into being like, yeah, okay, this is a good plan now. I can see this being fine. No, there's no salvaging that plot point. It's just garbage.
Yeah, no. It's no good.
Like,
And then like, and honestly, the thing with Clone Wars where they like give all the clones personalities and Yoda's like backing them like, no, they're good men, just makes the Jedi look even dumber.
Yeah.
Particularly because there's the episode where that one of them gets activated early
Yeah.
and they still can't fit it together.
Yeah, that whole thing was like it's fine. I don't know. That point also annoys me.
It's like there's like a good idea that someone's writing, but because they have to jam it in between the fucking prequel movies, it can't be a good idea. Like it doesn't have room to live.
See that
Is one of the things.
that point in particular, I think is like that's a fuck up. Because previous like the whole like oh there's chips in their heads or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's totally unnecessary, particularly because we have some good writing from I think like Legends or whatever, or even like Battlefront 2, like the original Battlefront 2, where like there's no chips, they're just soldiers following orders, and there's like a log or something from one of the clones afterwards, and it like talks about how it was just like dead fucking silence and nobody could look each other in the eye. Like that's good writing. That's good shit. Nah, biochip. What happened?
I mean, you kind of can't have likable characters on a kid show be willing to murder all the good guys. I don't know.
Like you could have just not addressed it. Like you didn't need to address that. You didn't need to have the point with someone doing it early, because without the chip, how does that happen, right? It's kid friendly for everyone, and then like for the adults, they can watch whatever.
Yeah,
like,
the adults attack of Revenge of the Sith, the adult movie for the adults in the room. What a mature picture.
I mean, nah.
He does kill all the younglings, I guess.
I do like that Hayden Christensen has been coming out a bit more to like Star Wars shit. Like even though people still largely like the prequels because of memes, I think it's also settled down enough where like he's not getting harassed. Like at least people
There are enough people who are attending conventions who grew up with those movies instead of being old people who watch them
and are terrible
as
people
and are just angry. Yeah,
man, fucking
they're just
Jake
awful.
Lloyd though. Jake Lloyd and the dude who played Jar Jar, forget his name. Like,
yeah,
I hate Jar Jar, but I feel bad for that guy because he did what he was supposed to do, and he did it well for what it is, which isn't great, but like whatever.
I hope that guy loves the Darth Jar Jar theory. He's like, yes, no, totally. That's definitely what that was.
That was the worst part of that whole thing because people used it as like, the guy who plays Jar Jar said it's true. Like, it's true, guys. Okay.
Yes, no. The guy who plays Jar Jar desperately wants Jar Jar to just not be considered the worst thing in the world. It's fine. Let him have this.
Yeah. Jake Lloyd is like, I think, the worst off from those though. Like he still suffers like mental health issues. Like that shit, he was young enough, like that shit fucked him up.
Yeah. It's no good.
I just
George Lucas ruined his life.
Too many turtlenecks.
His greatest crime was being a child. Unforgivable. Well,
oh my god.
Since we can't make this podcast 2 hours, unfortunately, I do have an email.
Oh, yeah.
On topic from Zeiss. who says, "Hello, Mr. Podcast Guy." Excuse you, there are two of us. That's Mr. Podcast
I think he's
Guys.
talking to me.
Sure. The podcast guy, Ben. And Hank. It's a new name of the show. First time listener, long time caller. My question today is themed for the Star Wars episode. Who would you say are your top 5 characters in the franchise? Feel free to add your reasoning as to why, since I'm a complete newbie to Star Wars. Similarly, which are your bottom 5 characters? Sincerely, Antonio.
Top 5, bottom 5, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is skewed as shit. Damn. On the spot like that. I mean, I think.
Do you want to go? Do you want me to go first?
Yeah,
I can go first
you
for
better
one more
go
time.
first. Your answers are gonna be easier, I think.
Okay. I don't know that. I'm not gonna say these in order.
Sure.
But we got R2. R2 is a good one.
Yeah.
Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
Yoda's tops for me. Luke. I'm a big fan of Luke. Just mostly, I like his arc. I like where he gets to in Return of the Jedi specifically. It's Return of the Jedi Luke I really like, but I enjoy how fucking much he sucks in the early, like the way he sucks.
Yeah.
Is the way I wish Hayden Christensen could suck, except he's just whiny in an angsty way that's not as fun, it turns out, as the way Luke is angsty. It just sucks. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know the balance there. Palpatine is a top 5 character for sure. Like, even in the prequels, he's great.
Yeah.
So, I guess I gotta go Darth Vader to finish it off.
Sure.
Darth Vader, not Anakin Vader.
Well, yeah.
He might lose out. I don't know. If that fits spots, Dr. Aphra might just take that spot. I don't know.
Yeah. See, that's yeah.
But she'd be the only character from not a movie, not one of the movies that I would pick.
Okay, bottom 5.
Bottom 5, Jar Jar,
Sure. Obviously.
the Trade Federation guys.
Now there are 2 of them.
I guess Boss Nass. No, not Boss Nass. Boss Nass he's spared. I don't know beyond that.
I mean, there's also a sequel trilogy that you haven't dipped into yet.
Yeah, I don't feel as strongly about those movies.
Fair enough.
As in terms of like the characters in them,
Yeah.
particularly. Like, I really like Last Jedi because of Luke and Yoda stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
More than anything. Oh, also, I like Holdo's pretty good in that movie, but not top 5. Bottom 5. Yeah, I don't know. Bottom 5's harder.
There's someone I feel like you're not mentioning. A certain merchant from Tatooine. Watto? He's not bottom 5 for you?
Watto? Watto sucks. But like, I'm just gonna say Watto, Sebulba, and I hate Shmi's name. They don't even name her in episode 1.
Yeah.
They don't tell you her name until episode 2. I don't know, like the announcer of the pod race, the 2-headed guy. Hate that guy.
Fuck yeah.
Actually, I forgot. I have to revise my top 5. My last spot goes to Luke.
Okay. Yeah, there it is.
All right. I've given you enough time. Now you answer.
Yeah. All right. Top 5. No particular order. I will say I'll say my honorable mentions first, or my 2 potentials, I guess, maybe the better word. Rey and Kylo Ren have potential, but it really depends on what happens in the 3rd movie, so I'm not bothering thinking about them yet, because, like, right now, I just don't care enough, I think.
That's
I don't
also fair to anything about that
Yeah.
that sequel trilogy. Like, I have to wait till I see that 3rd movie before I can have real thoughts about how I think about a lot of that stuff.
Okay, like top 5, no particular order. Okay, one particular order. I think number 1 is Ahsoka. Just so fucking good between Clone Wars, her book, and Rebels. Like, it's just good shit. And also it makes me really happy that her voice actor is, like, super enthusiastic about it. Like, anything Ahsoka is in, if it's a game, like, that's her voice actor is doing it. Like, for everything, including the audiobook, which is great. I don't know, just good character development. So that's number 1, handedly. Everything else, no order. I really like Qui-Gon Jinn, man.
Wow. I mean, I love Liam Neeson.
I also like Liam Neeson, but I like Qui-Gon. Yeah, I said it. I'm not ashamed.
I mean, the most notable thing he did was die to Darth Maul, who sucks.
Yeah, top
That's
5,
where I am
Darth
with
Maul.
Qui-Gon.
Ahsoka, Qui-Gon. I like, honestly, still Obi-Wan. Like, I like him. I'm
He's
hyped.
such a dick. So what I told you was true from a certain point of view. So you're stoked for that new Obi-Wan show?
Dude, I'm pumped. As long as they get the right Obi-Wan.
Well, they already confirmed. Ewan McGregor's confirmed.
Okay. Last I saw, he was like, or it was like,
no, there are all these articles about how
confirmed
he
or
was
not.
lying about saying he wasn't in
Yeah.
it.
Gotcha. All right, Obi-Wan. I'm gonna put Dr. Aphra on there.
Nice.
It's like, she's actually too good. And then Vader.
Yep.
Like Darth Vader. Helmet Vader. As you do.
Not Darth Tyrannus.
Why does he need 2 names? It's so stupid. They should have just called him Darth Tyrannus from the beginning, and that's like fine. But instead
Oh,
now
man,
it's
he's
like
count. He's a count. You don't want to deny him his counthood?
I hate it.
That doesn't matter.
It's
in the
because
movie,
he's the face of the Separatist army, actually. Whatever.
He's a Jedi.
He was a Jedi. He was Qui-Gon's master. In Legends.
He was a Jedi. He can't be evil, Ben. He can't be evil.
Depends on your point of view.
Even though he's leading the Separatist movement,
Yeah.
it's not possible for him to be a Sith Lord. Not possible.
All right, bottom
Idiots.
5.
Yeah.
I mean, Jar Jar, kind of an easy pick. Bottom 5. This is the one that, like, I was thinking about it, and it's difficult. I guess, like, I don't even fucking know. I think Jar Jar Watto is real annoying. I think he's annoying enough to earn that spot.
He's just gross looking.
He's very gross looking, unsettling.
He's got a dick bag chin.
Yeah, weird little like floppy nose. It's not great.
He's got a dick face.
I'm gonna be bold and without having seen uh the episode 9, I'm gonna say Rose.
Wow.
Really just not a fan of how it's not even her, it's not even like necessarily her point of view and like how she the points that she makes in the film. It's just the maybe not even delivery. Like I'm assuming again she is just doing what she is told, right? And like they were like, yeah, this is perfect, this is amazing. I hate how she sounds and like how she acts, like, and that is like portrayed is maybe the better term.
I find this very funny because I can hear Paul's anger because he hates that movie kind of, but he loves that character.
He loves Rose?
Yeah,
Really?
like he does. Yeah,
Why? And I'm not even, you know what? I'm not even talking about the kiss necessarily. Like that's weird or whatever, but not even that. I don't know. Like I guess it no, I'm sticking to it.
wow.
Her sister was way more interesting. So what's that? That's 3. I need 2 more. I don't even know, dude. Sypha Diaz.
Bottom 5 characters. Every character who's original to this Christmas special.
Yeah, Chewbacca's dad.
That cooking lady. I don't remember her name.
Maybe Poe Dameron? I don't know. He doesn't do it for me.
That's fair. I like that actor.
Oh, yeah.
Done garbage. He hasn't done shit. But
No, I
be
think
handsome.
yeah, I
That's all
think
he's
he's yeah, on like on the surface level, I kind of like him, like that he's there, but also dumb. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also top
If
5.
again, if I had to pick a favorite character from any of the new movies as a bonus, I would throw it. It's probably Holdo because she did the coolest thing in any of those movies.
Yeah, fair point. Excuse you. You mean Carrie Fisher did the coolest thing when she fucking forced Superman back to the ship?
That wasn't that cool.
It was unbelievably
real.
cool.
It was unbelievable. And then I was like, yeah, but
No, that
didn't need to go down like this. I don't
there
know.
was no reason.
I don't
for
hate
them
it, but yeah.
I hate the execution more than anything. Like, was the goal to show that she can use the Force a bit? Because
Yep.
there are better ways to do that. Like,
Yep.
maybe she goes down with the ship and her Force action is to, like, pull a lever from across the command center to save everyone else.
Yeah, but
that would have been dope.
I also have weird feelings about literally every scene with Carrie Fisher in that movie because she had died. I can't. I honestly just try not to think about a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
I probably should rewatch that movie because it's not one I have clear, full opinions on other than there are these parts in it that I fucking love. And that's kind of enough for me.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
like Yoda talking to Luke. I love that shit.
that's good stuff. I'm also Honestly, I can't remember. Um, maybe you
And
do.
again, I like that take on Luke a lot
Oh yeah,
because Luke kind of sucks. It's believable to me that he would suck and like fail as a teacher and
yeah.
be a weird hermit dude. I don't know. What did he ever do in his like career that proved he was a great Jedi? I mean, he
Nothing in
blew
the
up the Death
movies.
Star. Yeah. No.
No, I really like that interpretation of Luke, and also just
Yeah.
because Mark Hamill does such a good job. Like old
Yes.
Mark Hamill is
I
fucking
also
great.
think that role makes good use of Mark Hamill's actual acting talent that
Yes.
he now has.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
He got much better at acting after he had a horrific car accident and had to reteach himself how to talk.
Really? That's the thing that happened?
Yes.
Oh, damn. I did not know that at all.
Yeah. That's a thing that happened.
The day I learned. There's always more Star Wars information to be taken in. You're never
Yeah,
done.
man. Yeah, man.
Today it's Mark Hamill having to teach himself to talk again. Tomorrow it's why are the fucking BB-8 model
How many
droids-
dicks did Jar Jar have? The
Uh,
answer may surprise you.
No, the biggest Jar Jar question plaguing the community right now is why did the fabrics that were hanging off of his clothes have a different appearance and style than the fabrics from other Gungans' clothes? It's inconsistent, and why would he be wearing those clothes? Is it because he was an outcast, or
Yes.
was he?
It's solved. Mystery solved, man.
No, that's
it. Nope. Don't have to
too
go
easy.
any further.
It's too easy. Yeah, if anyone's ever curious about like
That's like, yeah.
stupid Star
I love
Wars
the idea of like
questions-
someone doing a math problem, doing 2 + 2 = 4, and someone running in saying, "No, it's too easy. Makes too much sense."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if anyone's curious though, subreddit r/maw installation, maw like MAW. Some of it's good. There's some decent shit, some good discussion. Some of it's absolute garbage because people come in and they're like, why didn't more non-Jedi and Sith use lightsabers? And like, okay,
Because
whatever.
they're not that useful to them.
Yeah.
Or
And
they
also,
did.
like, you cut your
Like
hand off.
fucking. What's his
Oh.
name?
Finn.
No, I mean the robot dude,
Grievous.
General Grievous. Yeah, he used lightsabers, and he didn't have the Force.
It's different. He was a
He used a lot of lightsabers.
precision machine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and how well did that help him fight Obi-Wan?
It's just
Got all his hands cut off.
yeah, so stuff like that. But then there's gold. There's absolute gold, which is people wondering why an insignia on a single wing of a ship is inconsistent with the ship's other appearances for fleeting seconds in a different area of the film or something.
Yeah, fans can go crazy when continuity errors cannot exist. There has to be a reason.
And like Star Wars fan, they're so used to it. Why did Han say parsec?
Why no one know how to pronounce things in the first Star Wars movie? It's almost like they don't care.
Princess Leia.
All right.
Great stuff.
So do we need to stop? Do you have to go
Yeah.
soon?
Yeah. I got a little work Skype call.
Otherwise, we could talk about Star Wars forever.
Probably. I mean, as soon as you open up Wikipedia, it's all over.
Yeah. I can't believe that's how they killed Chewie. I can't believe it.
What? By turning him into a
Never mind.
website?
No. Didn't he get a moon dropped on him or something in Legends?
Oh, I don't fucking know. I didn't like.
There's something about someone getting a moon dropped on them. I think that's the thing.
That sounds correct.
I could have made it up. I don't know.
I know that in Legends, Yaddle dies because Anakin fucks up and she has to absorb the entirety of a bomb into herself to save a settlement of people that barely matter. Yeah.
Fucking force sensitive droid that sacrifices himself. Can't just be a coincidence.
Someday I'm gonna teach myself to cry on command, and I'm gonna do it every time.
It's
I
so
watch that
stupid because that's also like if I were coming up with a no prize explanation for that, that is definitely not the one I would go with. I would go with R2 is a cold motherfucker and he sabotaged that droid.
Yeah, yeah. Was that part of it originally? Like, didn't R2 convince him that the resistance was more important, and like R2 convinced him to blow himself up? I think that's how it went, actually. So good.
Maybe R2 could have just, clearly been a better droid. Is that so hard? Clean himself up a little? Look a little more respectable?
Yeah. Look presentable, damn it.
I found a comic panel of Chewbacca getting a medal.
Right.
The comics correct the movie's mistake. Not giving Chewie a medal.
I mean, he didn't really do much. He was just kind of there.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
He earned that medal.
All right. I really do have to go though.
Okay. All right. So you can email us. That's Old Circle Podcast. Shout out to Thomas Meehan, who emailed us back in May that I missed it, and he asked us if we could talk about Doctor Who sometime. Shout out to Zeiss, who sent a Halloween question that we didn't get to. Apologies. I'll try to check the email address more often in the future. Very sorry, very sorry. Salt Circle Pod on Twitter. We're Salt Circle Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. We're hosted at anchor.fm/saltcircle, and I'm on Twitter at Comic Panels.
And I'm on Twitter at bean_LP. Been a fun 100 episodes, dude.
Here's to some number more.
Aw, yeah.